No cracks, Gromit. We've forgotten the cracks.
Alright, so the last time I talked about Wallace and Gromit on this channel, I may have accused them of being criminals.
Let me just say that again! Wallace and Gromit are the only people separating the destruction of humanity and the anarchy that follows from a race of hyper-intelligent penguins that want to take over the world and have been bought out by the UK government to keep their mouths shut!
Psychotic ramblings behind us, let's jump into it. Wallace and Gromit came to light in 1989 after Nick Park thought it would be funny to have a British bloke build a rocket in his basement. Nick Park started making the film in 1982 as a student film for his graduation, getting picked up in 1985 by Aardman Animations, roughly taking 6 years to make. He then went on to win an Oscar with his debut film, Wallace and Gromit, A Grand Day... What do you mean Grand Day Out lost the Oscar? To who? Okay, so apparently Nick Park beat himself to the Oscar with his other short film, Creature Comforts. Imagine being so good you beat yourself. Couldn't be me. It was basically a 5-minute compilation of real interviews placed within the context of animals in a zoo, but the interviewees didn't know the context behind the interview, which made it become so popular, and it later became a TV show due to how novel the idea was. Also, one last fact before I start watching the movie. It was originally supposed to be 40 minutes long, and it was supposed to be a spoof of Star Wars. We could have had Wallace wielding a lightsaber. Look at this! It's beautiful! Okay, let's actually get to A Grand Day Out. After 1,000 kilograms of plasticine, 11,000 pounds, which is 20,000 Canadian dollars, $50 to pay Peter Stallis, the original voice actor for Wallace, and enough Wensleydale cheese to put the US cheese caves to shame, we can finally start Wallace and Gromit, A Grand Day Out. So the film begins with Wallace and Gromit trying to decide where to go for their bank holiday, which for us North Americans is basically like days like Good Friday, Christmas, Labor Day, you know, days you usually have off from work and school. Wallace then decides to make some tea, which he pairs with cheese and crackers, which, holy crap! Does this man eat anything else? Look at this! Look how many crackers there are! But oh no, there's no more cheese in the entirety of Lancashire for some reason, so Wallace makes the impeccable choice to go on a cheese-based holiday, making several leaps in logic, which leads to this impeccable line.
Everybody knows the moon's made of cheese.
Truly a girl boss of his time. After completely destroying himself in tic-tac-toe, he begins a building montage, which is always good fun. After they finish, Wallace lights the rocket and opens up his yard, which, like, did he have that before he built the rocket, or is that just part of the house? So many questions, such little time. The UK is truly a beautiful place. Wallace then realizes he'd forgotten the crackers and makes a close call grabbing them before the rocket takes off. I've also always wondered, how has the rocket not gotten them in trouble? It is violently shaking the ground around them and making so much noise. Like, yeah, Wallace is just building another nuclear warhead. Don't worry about it, Stacy. And then they screw around in the rocket for a bit before landing on the moon, which, watching back, shouldn't there be zero gravity? How is Gromit making a card tower? Is Wallace more advanced than NASA? I mean, he did steal some of their trousers, which we'll get to that next time. After landing on the moon, they set up their picnic.
Wensleydale.
Fun fact about that line, it single-handedly saved the Wensleydale cheese factory from going under because they were about to claim bankruptcy before the film came out. They then decide to change spots since the cheese tastes a bit off, and yeah, Wallace, buddy, you're literally eating squishy rocks, I don't think it matters where you go. They then find a robot which is coin-operated, and Wallace just so happens to have a quarter in his pocket to activate it, which, like, what? Why? What? Why would you bring that? The robot then finds Wallace and Gromit's picnic, and then finds a skiing magazine, which makes him depressed that he can't go skiing. You know what? Screw it, fan theory. This is actually Wallace's robot from the future. I'll touch in why I think that a little bit later. And trust me, it will get dark as hell. Just look at how the robot walks towards Wallace and Gromit's rocket. That's Wallace's iconic walk, and I should know, I walk like that in real life sometimes after going on a psychotic binge watch of all the films. He then tries to kill his alleged creator, running out of coin power right at the moment of strike. After Wallace reloads the robot, they get back in the rocket to head back home. The robot then spots Earth, realizing that that's where he needs to go if he wants to ski. And can I just go on a little side rant real quick? How sadistic was Wallace feeling when he built this robot with the sole purpose of being a protection bot, let's say, giving him a passion to ski just to get bored of said robot, sending him to the moon just to forget about him until he and Gromit decided to go to the moon? Cause let's face it, Wallace definitely sent this robot to the moon. There is no doubt in my mind. Then the robot tries to kill Wallace and Gromit by blowing up their fuel tank, which absolutely should have ended them, but instead sends them flying like planned. And sure, the robot gets 2 pieces of metal in which to ski with, but if you haven't forgotten, this robot is coin operated and will be deactivated in a matter of minutes since Wallace only put a dime in him. Wallace is truly one of the most sadistic creators in all of fiction, and that's all she fucking wrote. Alrighty, got a little unhinged there, but if I were to give my actual thoughts about this film, I would have to say it's one of the most important films for the artistic medium of claymation, and without it, I don't think the style would be as cherished as it is today, and the cultural significance of the film is that of truly a titan. That doesn't mean that this film is perfect though. I feel like the plot doesn't get as in-depth as the other films in the series, which does make sense, it's only half the runtime, but because of that, it stands out weirdly out of the 6 films, and it also doesn't have the odd job setup or the house contraptions that we all know Wallace and Gromit for. The style at times can be a bit weird compared to the other films, and it definitely feels like the beginning film, if that makes sense. But please do not get my words twisted. This film is not bad, and it's definitely worth the watch. And that's why I'm giving it a 4 out of 6 on the parallelogram scale, which I just made up. Next time on Jordan is Broadcasting, I'll hopefully get to Wallace and Gromit, The Wrong Trousers. If you enjoyed this video, give it a subscribe, and good day, and good luck.